Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel for another dresser makeover. So on today, I'm going to transform this dresser that I found for free on Facebook Marketplace. The top is in actually really good condition. There's not really a lot to repair. The drawers work perfectly. So this should be really smooth and easy. So keep watching if you're interested in seeing the finished results because we're going to jump right into it. So usually my process involves removing all of the hardware first and cleaning with my Dawn soap. On today, I opted to use a TSP substitute. One, because there's no rinse required, and two, it's less porous and I wanted to do a paint wash on the top or either maybe even a stain. However, it turns out that this is a laminate top, so it's not gonna stand back, and I had to resort to plan B. But the whole point on today was to just mainly focus on the top of the dresser, which is why I left the hardware as is. As many of you know, I'm 6 months pregnant, so I'm trying to be more efficient in my work schedule and I'm getting tired more quickly. So I thought if I worked in sections that I can get more accomplished. So because this did not work out for me, I have to resort to plan B, and ultimately I did end up removing that hardware, cleaning the entire piece, and finishing with a scuff sand. So now that everything is nice and clean, I went ahead and scuff sanded the drawer fronts and the base of the dresser. I accidentally forgot to press record earlier, so that's why the drawers are already sanded, but you guys have seen me do this plenty of times. I scuff sand with a 120 grit sandpaper, so I'm gonna finish this off for now. I found that I got real tired at this point, so I'm wrapping it up for this day. So yeah, I'm just gonna scuff and scoot, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So after I finished yesterday, I went in the house and I really did a lot of research trying to find the perfect hardware and the perfect paint color for this piece. I spent hours and hours. I did find a few different hardware options, but everything was just so expensive that I went ahead and decided to rummage through my hardware pile. I know we all have these where you just have piles of hardware from previous flips, and I found something that was fitting for this dresser. I don't know where it even came from. I don't remember seeing this hardware in the past, but I had it on hand, so I decided I was gonna go ahead and use it for this piece, and I thought that it worked well. So I'm measuring new hardware holes here, and I do have a tool to help me with my measuring. One of my lovely subbies ordered it for me off of my Amazon wish list, but I've tried to use it a couple times already, and it's just been a little bit confusing, and you know, usually the drawer fronts make it even more complicated because usually there's like a trim or something around it. So because this particular hardware was 6 inches, it made it a lot simpler for me to just go ahead and do it my normal way, but I will be using that tool, I'm sure, at some point in time, and I'm really grateful, so thank you for that. But my process is I measure across the drawer front. So let's say the drawer is 18 inches across, the center mark will be 9 inches in the middle, and then from top to bottom, let's say it's 8 inches, that center mark is 4 inches. And so I make a little X in the center, and then because my hardware is 6 inches long, I'm measuring 3 inches to the right and 3 inches to the left. And then I do all of my checks and balances, and I do some extra stuff just to make sure. I like to check 3 times and drill once, and it seems to work for me, so that's what I'm doing here. Excuse me, I'm out of breath, but I'm gonna take a break and come back and fill you guys in on the next step. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and plug the whoa, okay, let's start over. So now I'm gonna go ahead and plug the existing hardware holes with Bondo. You can use the wood filler of your choice, but this is my preferred wood filler because it dries really hard, really fast. It takes about maybe 10 or 15 minutes depending on the weather. But you could use a wood putty type of wood filler. It's just gonna take a little longer to dry, sometimes even 24 hours. And I will say though, Bondo is not stainable, so keep that in mind. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and set these in the sun once I'm done, and then we'll go ahead and sand the Bondo back down. Okay, so here's where I want to give you guys a quick disclaimer. So do as I say and not as I do. I accidentally sanded right over my markings, so I had to remeasure my hardware holes, but only for this drawer. Luckily I was able to catch it in time. But yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I just was sanding and going, and I just completely erased my marks. So I went ahead, I took a pause, and I did drill through my markings with a pilot hole drill bit. So the holes are real small. You probably won't even notice that they're there, but I did do that. And then I went ahead and finished the sanding process. So now it's time to move on to primer. Now primer, I love using my Zenbin shellac based primer. I will say this stuff cost a pretty penny, and I was completely out, so I did have to spend $75 on primer. Now of course I'm not using the entire gallon, so it's gonna stretch and make, you know, a good profit eventually as I sell more pieces, but it's still a good upfront cost. You know, it's for me at least, $75 is a lot. So I know they sell it in quarts, and I know I could get the spray can, but I just think that those financially don't make sense to me. I use this stuff all the time, and you just get more for your buck. So let me catch my breath. And so here I am just priming all of the drawer fronts, and I'm gonna prime the dresser. And this is where I decided to change my plan yet again. So I already cut costs by using existing hardware that I had in my storage. Now I need to figure out a way to cut costs on paint, because I don't want to spend another 75 bucks. And I know there are cheaper paint brands out there, but I finally have found the paint that I like, a paint that works for me, and I don't want to experiment. It's just not a good time for me to experiment. So I'm gonna stick to what I know, because if it's not broke, I'm not gonna try to fix it. I like to use my Gemini paint by Evo Eclipse, and so that's what I'm gonna do. And unfortunately, you guys, I'm just gonna use some paint that I've already used before. So I don't want to disappoint you, but yeah, this isn't gonna be the most dramatic makeover, but it's gonna be a makeover nonetheless. And once we get to a good place, I will be more creative in my color choices and my hardware choices. But for now, this is just where I am. So I hope you guys understand that. And now let's get into the painting process. Okay, so as you guys saw, I did go ahead and paint the dresser white, but don't click out of this video just yet. Let's go ahead and restore the hardware. So I'm gonna boil it off camera with distilled white vinegar and warm water, or boiled water, 50-50 mix, and then I'm gonna polish it with steel wool. this was the result and I hated it. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray paint that gold, and then you guys will come back and see the finished results. So let's get into the before, and then quickly after that, you'll be seeing the after. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And do me a favor and give me a follow over on Instagram at BeautyFromNeglect. And I'll see you guys in my next one.